as a father and as an Indian citizen, I still interested in Indian elections. That's why I want to still talk about Indian elections until I become US citizen and educate my fellow colleagues here about the Indian elections. India. The first three things that come to my mind are population, democracy, and the diversity it comes with. So let's talk about population. India has 1.3 billion people living there. In which what amount of space? 1/3 of the United States. So like we are 4 times the population we have here, and we stay in a space which is like 1/3 of it. So it's a lot of people there. If you imagine, out of those 1.3 billion people, 900 million people were eligible to vote this year. And out of those, like 68% voted, like it's like 600 million people voted. So that means the number of people who voted, they are still more than the population of United States by twice. Just to show you how huge it is, right? Let's come to diversity. I mentioned before in my speeches, we have like 30 states. Each state has its own language. I'm not talking about dialects, it's different language. If you are from different state and we're talking about our mother tongues, I won't even understand what you're talking about. So we had to come up with the various ways of communicating with each other. Thankfully, we were ruled by our United Kingdom, our friend, who ruled us for more than 300 years and gave us English language, and that's how helped us communicate with each other and stay together instead of becoming multiple countries within a country. So that's diversity. So population diversity, one election, one government, and that comes down to democracy. Let's imagine, China is huge, but they are not democratic. Who are the biggest democracy here? It's India. It's not easy. I've been brought up in India for like 22 years. I've seen the democracy. It's not perfect. We have issues, but getting all these people together and stay by the rule, the constituency, we have to stay by the rules and stay together, follow the rules. It's impossible. Like for me, it's impossible. We keep joking in India. I don't know who. Like only God rules this country. No one knows who rules this. How does it work? It somehow works. We call the name Jugaad. Jugaad means there is no process anything, but somehow people will help each other and just get it done. So all these three things, right? Democracy, population, diversity, that makes it a humdinger of an election. So let's talk about the first thing, format. So we have 573 constituencies. So unlike US, for US, I understand it's more about states, winning the states. We have red states, the blue states, but for us, it's more about constituencies. So constituencies are like those kind of the people who we vote, the majority of them will form a government. So that means there are parties, obviously there are like thousands of parties, but there'll be more national parties, but they will try to give their people and try to get more than 270, like for majority 272, they need to get 272 people at least to form a government. So now that makes it complex, because it's not about this state or that state, because each vote or each constituency is going to be that critical to make sure I can form a government. Still there? It's complicated. Even for me, it's very complicated. So that makes it like, how do we get those seats, right? And that comes down to the next phase, which is more about the campaigning. Here, Trump might not go to certain state because they think it's already democratic. They might just say, oh, my numbers match up on each of these states, so I don't even go there for campaigning. But with these constituencies, it's not about those states. It's about each and every one. So for a certain party, they have to go campaign all these freaking all these constituencies for campaigning, and they have to woo. Just when I talk about diversity, they have to woo different religions. They have to woo different classes from the pay scale. They have to woo based on the education point of view, the income point of view, and all that people, they have to woo it for based on all these criteria for the next 5 years, and woo them to get them vote. And it's a high percentage, 68% are voting, like 900 people out there who can vote for you, and we have to figure out how do we want to do it. So campaigning is going to be the critical part, and that's where it's got a lot of fun happens. If you see some of the presentations they do, it's like huge. It's not like an auditorium. It's like a playground, and there are like 10,000 people, and some big guy comes in and he has to talk to it, and it can go to smallest scale possible. Like they will go to their families. They will go down to what they did in the life when they've been in school. Maybe sometimes they failed. They will question their citizenship. They will question their family life, all the decisions they have made, and it can be brutal. That comes to the fun part. All these activities comes down to funny situations like news channels. If you come to the news channels, you will see some presenter, they will be, hey, asking this basic question, hey, who is gonna win? Who is gonna win? And they are gonna be, like, doesn't even make sense, but they will just keep on asking these questions. Some people will be like, there'll be like a panel of election results, and same guy, this is the exact example of what happened on the recent elections. Like, someone is going to like, what do you think? And suddenly, oh, she will start talking, and suddenly someone else is going to talk, and he's just presenting, presenter is going all over the place, and suddenly there will be like, breaking news, like and it just blows up the whole thing. So overall, 2024, we're going to surpass China, and we're going to be the biggest population ever. So check it out. Be there for the 2024 election. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be there. 2024, turn on your channels. There are free channels on YouTube. Check it out.